The Hartford Small Business Insurance knows that running a small business is a big time commitment. So this holiday season, they're celebrating hardworking small business owners with a chance to go to iHeartRadio Jingle Ball in Miami on December 16th. Nominate yourself or another small business owner for a chance to win a trip for two. Includes airfare, 2-night hotel, tickets to the show, plus $1,000 in spending cash. For official rules and entry information, visit iHeartRadio.com/smallbusiness.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis, a podcast dedicated to the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. Happy Monday, everybody. What's going on with you, Fruit Loop? How was your day?
My day was good. We've had my great nephew for a few days, and he's 2.5, and he's a hyper 2.5. He was up. My parents let him nap until 8:30 last night. So 2:30 a.m. he finally went to sleep. So
oh man, I was awake till 4. I'm having a hard time sleeping. I don't know what's up.
I'm gonna bring him over here then.
Well, then you can take mine home.
I would switch that. I would do it.
Yeah, no, they're good kids, but yeah, I've been momming it today. Sometimes it's so impossible to get anything done with a 9-year-old in the house because she is bored. I mean, like COVID, we've done everything fun that I can think of.
Yeah, I would not want to be a kid during this time.
No. It stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to start school stuff this week. So we thought we would do this tonight before my life gets crazy in a few days, having to go all over creation and pick up laptops and all this stuff. So first thing tonight is today would have been Charles's 64th birthday.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is a really hard day for his sons and everybody who loved him. And, the whole situation's just incredibly sad. But, we've been doing a little research on Charles lately, and I found their old Facebook page for their juice company.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But
that was one in Hawaii, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to try to look more into that. I found their business license online and, but I'm curious, to see if there is anything else on the internet about that little juice company. And, but yeah, I just, I've thought about Charles a few times today. Of course we don't know him, but it's weird. You kind of feel like you know everybody at this point.
Yeah, I know. Like you talk about him like you know him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. Even my kids.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, it's Charles's birthday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just kind of wanted to take a minute to acknowledge that. And, the wheels of justice seem to be in motion for him. And we definitely are looking forward to some charges so that Charles can get justice too.
Exactly.
I mean, there was so much there that we could sit and talk for an hour about all the ways that whole situation, with last July was a big mess.
Yeah. I read a little bit of an article and just with it being today and his birthday and all, it kind of, one of his sons just said he wished he could have told his dad not to go back, meaning back with Lori. And I know that's tough for them.
Yeah.
Because he should still be here. So
definitely. And I think it's really hard. Luckily, I've never lost anybody to violence, knock on wood. But, we've both lost people in our lives, and the coulda, shoulda, wouldas can kill you if you're not careful.
Yeah.
I always try to tell people, don't go down that rabbit hole. There's no answer in that, but it seems like, that the boys have a strong mom, and so I'm sure they're all doing as good as they can today, but we're definitely thinking about them, and yeah.
Yeah. So we stopped where last podcast?
So on the last one, if you didn't listen to the one before this, we've had a lot of requests from people that are newer to the case that kind of know the foundations of the case, but don't really understand kind of all the movement that happened before we got to Lori being arrested in February. So we've been going back through from the time the whole gang rolled into Rexburg. And we left off, I believe we left off where Alex moves on November 27th. He moves from Rexburg back to Arizona. And so this podcast, we're going to kind of go from Rexburg to Hawaii with sort of everything in between.
This will be a good review.
I think so. I mean, even people that know the case, even in just preparing for this podcast, there were a lot of things that I had forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of little details where it really does show you how much law enforcement has had to do. From the day of the welfare check, it was just like a marathon, just running a marathon. So we're going to pick up on that. But first, we found Fruit Loop. You found Melanie Pulowski's old blog.
Yeah. And I don't even know how I stumbled across it. It was, I don't even know. So I found it and I read through it, and it's, I don't want to say shocking because she was a mom and she had, young kids and all, but it was just like two separate people. Like you can watch the interviews that she did and things that have, happened since then. But then you take a step back and look at those previous blogs and it's totally different.
Yeah, it's it almost seemed familiar to me, not because of the marathon running. I will run if I'm being chased, but that's sort of like the extent of my running.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
I'm not running. You got to chase me first.
If I'm running, yeah, you better run too because something is chasing.
Something's coming.
Yeah. I tell people in our ministry when we go hiking in our outdoors ministry, I tell them that I don't have to be the fastest one to win the race. I just have to be faster than one person.
That's right.
Yeah.
In fact, my daughter was talking about wanting to go hiking tomorrow with you and me and the other kids, and Fritz was like, "Nope, too many copperhead." Was it copperheads?
Yeah, down here in the good old South, we have those copperheads that are still running, and they're not fun.
Nope. I would just trip you and run faster.
There you go.
Yep. So it was weird with this blog because when my kids were born, my in-laws were in St. Louis, and so they didn't, and back then there really wasn't like FaceTime. It wasn't super popular. I had my first in 2005 and then the last in 2011. So I did sort of the same thing that Melanie did, which is I created websites for my kids where I just updated maybe every other day on their progress. And it was really weird to read her blog in a way that we've seen her on the, East Idaho News or I don't think she was she on Dateline? I don't think
yes.
Was she on Dateline? Yeah.
Yes.
And to read this blog, it seems so normal.
Yeah.
Compared to where we are.
Yeah. Very normal. Like reading when she's running about just the process of her running the marathon and wanting to give up and seeing her kids' faces and seeing Brandon and just different things like that. Like you wonder, how did we get to where we are?
Yeah. And that's a huge question for me. I mean, she just talked about her kids like any mom would. There was nothing about that blog that if I didn't know her and I had read it, I would just think it was a mom who was super proud of her family and her husband because she just gushed about Brandon.
Yeah.
And I remember in one of the running posts that she had, she couldn't see Brandon at some point and she was really tired and she was so sad because she knew that like seeing his face and him encouraging her would help her get finished.
Yeah.
And then it's like all of a sudden, last year, she's like, I want to get a divorce.
Yeah. And by his statement, just out of the blue.
Yeah, I think he was pretty blindsided by it, actually.
Yeah.
But does it ever make you wonder, like, I mean, we were talking about how a lot of people in their life have one person, whether it's family or a close family friend, that I think you could almost say that in your eyes, they don't do any wrong. And you've always looked up to them. And I think Lori was that person for Melanie.
Yeah, and that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, what was it you said you would like to know?
Oh, I would like to know what did Lori tell Melanie that convinced her to get a divorce, leave her kids, move to Rexburg, Idaho.
And try to kill her husband.
Yeah. And
I mean,
then,
from what we
yeah,
assume.
yeah. So, I mean, what can somebody tell you that I mean, we know they said he was a zombie and all that stuff, but just what can she tell you?
Yeah, I mean, how do you even start to get to the point to where you're willing to walk away from your children who are all super young?
Yeah.
I mean, they're little.
Yeah.
They're not teenagers. I think maybe the oldest is around 8.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember all of that.
They were kind of stair step though. If you see pictures of them, it kind of looks like maybe she had a kid about every 2 years.
Yeah.
And then she has fifth on the way now with Ian.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it
too, if you remember, they tried to convince her. If you remember that she was talking about being in the garage and they, Brandon, and I can't remember the other people there. I think Charles was there maybe. Brandon, they were in the garage and they were telling her, this is what Lori's doing.
Oh, I remember that.
And she's kind of going back and forth. Well, what? I don't understand. And we've talked about her being gullible.
Yeah.
But you have that conversation that went on. And then now all of a sudden, Lori's convinced her to move to Rexburg.
To just leave her kids on Halloween night.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like Halloween is as big as Christmas around my house. It's just like a holiday we look forward to every year. My parents have a big party and, it's just, that's definitely a family sort of oriented holiday to some people. I know some people don't celebrate it, but I remember seeing pictures of her and Brandon and the kids and they were all dressed like Toy Story characters.
Yeah.
So you could tell like they participated and yeah, I guess, one of the things I would like to know, which I guess we probably never will, is what is she thinking now? I mean, like, does she literally look back and think, what in the world have I got myself into?
Yeah.
Like, I had it all. I had a husband who was successful. Brandon's a little cutie pie. Kids are beautiful house, seem to be stable. I mean, we don't know what happens behind closed doors, but it seems like she was very in love with Brandon and he seemed like a great husband.
I just hope that she'll just speak truth.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the point, I think she's probably going to face charges for Brandon at some point. I'm actually kind of surprised she hasn't yet.
Yep.
But I know they have their time and they have a reason and a method or whatever, but we will see. I'm waiting any day now on some kind of a news alert for additional charges or additional arrests.
Yep.
Now, so...
Hey, this has nothing to do with Melanie Pulowski, but before I forget, we did. Tyson Draper has a YouTube channel, and he's really cool. He goes around and just asks. I mean, there's one of him talking to Garth, and he seems to be very polite. He doesn't, say anything out of the way, and he just tries to, and he does it with different cases, and he did get the footage because he went outside Zulima's home and was trying to get her just to talk, just to say, hey, he said, I really just, if she didn't want to talk, that's okay. Just come out and say, hey, I'm really not going to talk to you, but thanks for stopping by, something like that. And it didn't turn out well. So the cops were called and all. Well, he got the body cam footage from that. And we do know that from the officer's body footage camera inside Zulima's house, she does make a statement that her attorneys have advised her not to talk to anybody, but she is talking to the police. And it sounded like Wood was going to be in on that too, the prosecution and the Rexburg police. So
yeah, I really have a gut feeling that we all say Melanie Gibb might be the star witness, and I think she will definitely be up there. I have a feeling Zulima is maybe going to be the one that can answer the most questions about Alex. Obviously, because I don't think Melanie would.
Yeah.
Melanie Pulowski would.
Yeah.
I mean, Zulima was married to Chad. Oh, maybe. Who knows? I mean, good grief. Story could not get any more bizarre.
There you go.
But
And we're adding to it.
yeah, we're just adding our own parts.
Yeah.
But I do sort of wonder, what does she know? And I mean, we may eventually find out if she is a big witness for the prosecution, but I think there is a reason she has stayed completely hidden this whole time.
Yep. That's your gut on that one. You called it. And I told you today, I said, you might be right.
Yeah, I've said that for a while. I just, people that go out and do interviews, I mean, for the most part, it's not usually advised because they can take that stuff that you say in an interview or a misstep and use it against you when you're testifying.
Yeah. I mean, I know they've said that about Melanie Pulowski, that they questioned things because stuff didn't add up in what she was saying on TV. So
yeah, they said between all the different interviews, she gave very conflicting statements. Yeah, and so it can come back to bite you. But we'll see what Zulema has. But she was married to him, and she was there when he died. I mean, if you remember, I think she came in midway through that 911 call with her son, and you can hear her seemingly upset. Seeing Alex laying there.
Yeah. I just wonder, did he keep a journal? Did he any kind of audio? I mean, anything, knowing who his sister was and knowing Chad.
Yeah.
Did he think to possibly cover for himself? I don't know.
That's a really good point, and I've never thought about that. Because if you think about it, and we're going to go down these dates, and we do sort of get to the point, we're going to probably leave off around when at the end of the year. So we know Alex dies on
December 12th.
December 12th. What we're going to find out that law enforcement was working on until the day Alex dies, I'm actually really surprised, and maybe they tried, that they didn't try to interview him before he died.
Yep.
But yeah, so he had to have known. And for whatever.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
For a reason, whether it was natural or a suicide or an assisted suicide, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
There's no irony in the fact that I think the day after Tammy's exhumed, boom, he's dead.
Yeah.
So, well, let's get started on these dates. And we're going to start on November the 27th. So we know at this point, law enforcement is curious about where Tylee and JJ are. So on the 27th, they have the the search warrant at the townhomes.
Yep.
They go in, they bust down the doors.
Yeah, that was that's when they called Melanie Pulowski and said somebody broke in her house or whatever.
She was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Not
that
worried.
Was crazy.
Yeah, that was probably like oh my gosh, they just served a search warrant on my house.
Yeah.
But Lori and Chad, long gone.
Yeah, everybody, like we say, they're fleeing like rats on a sinking ship.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens.
Yep. Also, they serve search warrants at the storage locker.
Yeah, yeah.
So
from there, the same day, the 27th, that's when two detectives go to talk to Colby, and he calls his mom, and she says, oh, hey, I've got everything. I've got it. I'll take care of it. I love you. And like hangs up. And I believe maybe until he saw her in jail in Rexburg, I think that might've been the last time he talked to her.
Yeah. So a lot going on in those several days in there.
Well, on the 27th, the Rexburg police also asked the FBI for help.
Yep.
So the 27th, you have all those things going on. These search warrants going on. Colby, they go visit Colby. FBI gets called in from Rexburg.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you have October 28th.
Oh, no. It's November. I typed wrong. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is. Okay, I got you. So Chad and the kids go to California for vacation. And that was, what do we think that's November 28th through like December?
Somewhere around in there.
Yeah, because I know they left They left LAX December 1st, so it's around those times.
Yeah.
There's photos on social media at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, I've never seen any of those.
I've heard people discuss those.
Yeah, because it was questioned whether they went to Disneyland. I've seen Disneyland. Today was the first time I saw Knott's Berry Farm mentioned, but apparently all the kids went out west. I think there was a picture of, I think, Emma and her husband on a plane. That's the one I've seen.
Yeah, I did see that one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of odd, but
yeah. So on the 28th, that's when Chad and the kids go. On the 29th is when Alex marries Zulema at a Chapel of Love in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And Fox 10 Phoenix actually interviewed someone who kind of arranges the services. And you know how Vegas is. People come in and out all the time to get married. It's kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's like a drive-through.
Yeah. And the minister remembered him because he thought it was so odd. He thought they were really cold and that this was almost like a business transaction. And they really just wanted to get in and out. I mean, yeah.
And didn't Alex take her last name?
He did. He took her last name, which was another thing that the minister was surprised about because he said however long he had been doing that, he had never seen a man take a woman's name. And I mean, I've heard of it before, but
yeah,
you know, I just can't. I'm ready for some light on that whole relationship.
Yeah,
and we're gonna have to wait, but I do wonder about that a lot.
Yeah. So then on the 29th, November 29th, Melanie Gibb receives an email with wedding pics of Lori and Chad from Hawaii, and you think that's just a smack in the face.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we know that they had the conversation on, December 8th, I think is when they had that conversation that she recorded.
Yeah, so that's still a week or so away from when she gets the pictures. But at this point, I mean, I think, no, she was contacted at this point by the police. So Melanie Gibb has to know that there's something wonky going on.
Yeah.
So, and then on the 30th, the next day, Ian and Melanie marry.
Yep. So
it was like the day before Alex's Zulema, then the next day, Ian and Melanie marry. I think they were witnesses to Alex and Zulema were witnesses at Ian and Melanie's wedding. There's that picture of them in the chapel.
Gotcha.
Yep. So you said on the 1st.
Yep. They fly out of LAX.
Yep. Go to Hawaii.
And I did just misspeak on that date. I'm sorry.
What date?
That date. I just misspoke. So this date was before, when she got that email, it was before she had that conversation with him. So my bad.
Yeah, that's okay. The one thing that I forgot to mention is when they went to the townhomes, they were authorized to collect blood, fingerprints, hair, and hygiene products for DNA collection. And they also looked around for toys, clothing, and shoes. As of right now, we don't know what they found.
Yep.
That was on the 27th of November. So right at the beginning of the podcast, what we were talking about. I just wanted to put in there.
Add in what they had their warrants for.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and they saw no signs, obviously, of the kids anywhere. And then that same day, they went to the storage unit. But I just wanted to throw in there what they were authorized to look for.
Yep. So on December 2nd, this is when Ian's mom calls him and says that Natalie, which is his ex-wife, has found out Melanie is in a cult and Chad is leading the cult and Alex murdered somebody.
Can you imagine Ian's mom? Like, I'm sure she probably was a little weirded out over the fact that they got married after 10 days of knowing each other, apparently.
Yeah.
Or so they say.
Yeah.
But then, can you imagine Ian's wife and his mom? They're finding out all this stuff. And then you also have that, remember on the wedding night, she was telling them all about the zombies and how this religion goes. But then I think she also mentioned about the attempt on Brandon's life on their wedding night.
Yeah, something that she didn't know it was going down. And
she knew after the fact.
After the fact, yeah.
Can you imagine Ian sitting there and he's got his new bride and they probably barely know each other.
I would have went right then and said, I want a refund. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I want an annulment. But you think about it, like they probably didn't even know what TV show they like to binge.
Yeah.
Just Perfect Strangers.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, the first week in December, this is in Hawaii now. Chad and Lori rented a nice little townhome. Actually, it was in a gated community and it had 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. It had an attached garage. And the neighbor sees that there are some boxes that are stacked up on the front door. And so I think he calls the realtor or whoever's in charge of renting the house out and says, hey, your new tenants have some boxes out here. So I believe she instructed the neighbor to put those boxes inside, and they were from Idaho. So they had shipped stuff from Idaho to Hawaii prior to their arrival.
Wonder what was in those.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. That's
yeah. I mean, you have to wonder because maybe it was clothes or something. Because there wasn't much in there.
Yeah, we know they ordered things.
Yeah, well, they ordered wedding rings.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
The ukulele, that's what it was.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I was looking at those pictures today, and they're just really foul. I mean, because knowing what we know now and just seeing them just lovey-dovey, smiling, touching, and
I can't. I just...
It's gross.
It is how somebody can be in their right mind.
Yeah.
And be able to pose for a picture and smile and whatever else, knowing what you know.
Oh, yeah. So on the 3rd of December, the authorities get Melanie Pulowski in for an interview. And I think I heard that interview went 4, 5, 6 hours. It was a long one.
Yeah. Yep. And she was right there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you live right next door.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what she's told authorities, but I mean, on the interviews, it just, I don't know if they told her what to say or she's making it up on her own. I mean, it wasn't convincing.
Yeah. I mean, she had attorneys there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we read her body language in that whole deal. And when you dodge a question and don't answer, or fidget, or, I mean, there's certain things you do when you're not telling the truth. And she did a lot of that in those interviews.
Yeah.
So then, December.
We're on the 4th.
4th, email was sent from the FBI showing that they were looking into Lori, Melanie Gibb, and Jason Mao about podcast and trying to find more info on Jason Mao.
Yeah. So this is the 4th. Remember, at this point, Alex is still alive.
Yep.
And so the email just essentially was a back and forth between agents. They were questioning Jason Mao a lot in those, but he's so hard to find information on.
Yeah.
For me. I mean, I've looked. I probably haven't given an honest effort, but.
Well, we've dug a little bit, and I mean, we know he speaks at youth events. I think some of his stuff, Warrior Up or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
He speaks at a lot of youth events and stuff, so.
Yeah.
But he's been quiet. He's distanced himself. I mean, he said he didn't know him.
Yeah.
He may have been on a podcast with him, but he really didn't know him.
Yeah, that was kind of ridiculous because you find out, he's the one that introduced Lori to Melanie Gibb.
Yeah, and in the podcast that's still out there, there's one that's still out there with those 3 on it, and he talks about meeting Lori for the first time and da-da-da-da-da, so.
Well, I may try to go on the Wayback Machine and see if, a lot of times if the files are removed, it might not be on there, but it might be worth a shot to see if we can find anything. It's a website that you can actually go back and see websites, how they were from years ago in like their whole form.
Yeah.
They're not current. That's how we have found some little treasures.
Yep.
With this case. So on the 4th, this is still the 4th, Natalie, which is Ian's wife, emails a friend of Brandon Boudreaux or an acquaintance or an associate and says that she's scared at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember she's got kids. And if I was her, I wouldn't want my kids around somebody who's possibly, in this cult or following or whatever, and you don't know, like, these kids are missing. like all that stuff.
Yeah, and if you think about it too, there was some communication between Ian and Natalie where I think it was around this time where Ian is saying, I don't want my weekend with the kids. I don't think he felt safe having them around Melanie. And I guess with Alex still out there and Lori and Chad are still free at this point. But am I wrong? I think,
no, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, no, you keep the kids this weekend.
Yeah.
That's very telling.
Yeah.
But
then all of a sudden with him, it's a switch.
It is, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
But there is a reason that he's emailing his wife like, oh my gosh, I just married into the nut house.
Yeah.
And then he wears a wire for the FBI, and then the next thing we see is an email or something where he's saying, I'm not working with him anymore, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't remember it word for word, but he just did like a 180 all of a sudden.
Yeah. And the interviews that he was on with Melanie, his body language was just way off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
for sure.
That didn't make any sense whatsoever. So
we're on the 6th.
See, I'm getting lost. So on December 6th, JJ School in Arizona they were served with a search warrant. The warrant stated there is probable cause to believe there is property, persons connected to a conspiracy to commit homicide first degree, and that the offense occurred on July 11, 2019. The records to be turned over include identifying info, family info, medical condition info, prescribed medications, time of attendance, documented contact with family, and any forwarding info to new schools. The school had 3 days to comply with the warrant.
Wow. I didn't know that they had put July 11th, 2019 as kind of what it's connected to, because we know that's the date Charles was shot and killed by Alex.
Yeah.
So at this point in early December, it seems like now all of a sudden Arizona is connecting the dots with Idaho.
Yep.
And then we know at that point they're looking into Tammy Daybell because it's not too long until they exhume her body.
Sure.
So you have to think that the whole gang was starting to feel the pressure.
I would think so. I mean, everybody's fleeing. You've got these cops that are making contact and getting all these search warrants. Don't forget, you have Lori checking that Bloom's app for somehow communicating with something or somebody. So she's checking stuff there. So yeah, I'm thinking, I wonder, time of attendance in some of that search warrant, does that have to do with them figuring out the timeline for Charles's murder? Because we know that timeline is not right.
Yeah.
There's something way wonky off that whole.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
The deal is way crazy,
and she's talking about the actual day that Charles was shot and killed.
Yeah.
How none of the times line up with what they made statements to, as opposed to kind of what we know about that.
Yeah. And that we're going to do, I think, one down the road. We've touched on it a little bit, but I think further down the road, we'll do another one for that to kind of give you that updated information or whatever.
And we still need to do that little experiment about the bat that you thought of.
Yeah.
Where several podcasts back, probably a month ago, Fruit Loop was talking about how the position of the bat is so odd, given the position of his body.
Yeah.
And we both played softball in high school and college, so it doesn't look right. There's no way he just dropped that bat.
No, the whole testimony of all three, it just doesn't add up.
No,
none of that adds up.
Nope.
So
we move on to December the 6th, and they serve a search warrant on JJ's pediatrician. And at first, the search warrant was only pertaining to JJ, but a staff member there realizes that JJ is JJ is Tylee's brother, and they're like, hey, guess what? She goes here too. So they get a search warrant for her records. And
wow.
I think pediatricians, I'm going to tell you this. My husband was a pediatrician before he went into anesthesia. And the reason that he got out of pediatrics is he said that he got so tired of the family drama that he had to hear about. Pediatricians hear a lot. It would be interesting at the trial if we start to see things coming out, because if you remember, Lori had Tylee in and out of the hospital on a very frequent basis. I believe she even had some exploratory surgery.
Yeah. And
we both think that she had Munchausen by proxy.
Yeah.
And I've also wondered too, is it a situation where, it's just not far-fetched with everything else. Could it have been a situation where Lori was making her sick?
Yeah.
To get these appointments and stuff, you have to really exhaust all your options when they cut a kid open to see if they can see anything.
Yeah.
So I bet those medical records are full of information.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I totally agree.
Yep.
So on December 9th, someone logs on to JJ's school app, and we know that that's probably Lori doing that. And again, it's around certain dates that she does that. So
yeah. And on the 10th of December, at this point, they're in Hawaii. The neighbor says that they move into the condo on the 10th, or around there is kind of what we've heard. And the neighbor that met them said they were polite, but they were really guarded. And the house was really, I think it had been vacant for a very long time, this condo. And Chad and Lori made clear they weren't buying, but they were going to lease long term, according to what they told the neighbor. And the other thing about this condo is that it was right across the street from where her and Charles lived when they lived in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's so weird.
I know you can like an area and want to be, in that area.
Yeah, but I don't know that it's like, yeah, I love Hawaii. I got married there 3 times. She had some sort of
across the street. Yeah.
She had a really weird obsession with Kauai.
Yeah.
It's just like 3 wedding pictures there.
Yeah.
It's just strange. I don't get it.
Yeah, and we know that if you remember back on, I don't know if it was the Dateline episode with Melanie Pulowski or Nate, I can't remember which, but she talked about them saying, oh yeah, you can come visit us in Hawaii and da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. So obviously they plan to stay there a while.
Yeah, that's what the guy said, was that they made clear they were going to lease long term. And then the one thing I read today too was when Chad and Lori were, I believe it was for this condo, they did inquire about another place before this one, but Chad told the owner that God had given him a vision that this was where they needed to live.
Yeah.
In that condo.
Oh, he had a lot of visions.
Yeah, his visions always benefited him, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So Chad talked to a woman in Hawaii who was from Rexburg, right?
Yeah, and she was also LDS.
Gotcha. And she told him his life would never be the same, that people would ask where the kids were everywhere he goes. She asked if it could be as simple as Lori just telling where the kids are, and Chad said it's not as simple as that. It's not that easy. Yeah,
well, if you remember when they were living on the island and Lori had not been arrested yet, the island really didn't want them there. The people just did not like the attention that this was bringing to what is a little island is small.
Yeah.
And then
Kauai, right?
Kauai, yeah. And then they also had started putting up signs that say, "Where are the children?" So pretty much anywhere they went, if they were in a car, they probably saw at least one sign.
Wow.
I mean, you know, that's kind of, and then they go, you know, Chad goes back to Rexburg after Lori is arrested and extradited, and it's more of the same there. So I guess at that point, you know, the world is watching.
Yeah.
It has to be so weird.
Well, I wouldn't want that either. I mean, a lot of people like retire to Hawaii, right? So you want to get out of drama.
Yeah.
And just relax. And with all that going on. So the first week of December, Ian emails his ex-wife, Natalie, about an attempt on Brandon's life. And he says she didn't know anything about it beforehand, talking about Melanie. He also says if she sees her kids, if she sees her kids, it may put a dent in the trust of her uncles. She's scared and has been told her middle kids are dead. They're zombies.
Yeah. It almost sounds kind of threatening. You know, if you sort of peel back the layers on that one, it's almost like it may put a dent in the trust of her uncles, and she's been told her middle kids are dead. That almost seems controlling to me, and I'm not excusing Melanie at all.
Yeah.
But I've often wondered if, like, with Melanie Pulowski, if they really tried to instill just a fear so that she would do what they want. And I don't know. I mean, I think she's gullible. I think she's guilty as heck.
Okay, when you think about who her uncles are,
yeah,
it's Alex and Chad.
Yeah,
that's who she's referring to.
And how long has she known Chad? I mean, if we're really, I mean, a few months.
Yeah,
but yeah, Uncle Chad's gonna tell her, like, you can't see your kids.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. So on the 11th, December the 11th, Tammy Daybell's body is exhumed, and I was wondering if the FBI was at that autopsy, because we know the FBI was at Alex's autopsy, which was the next day.
Yeah.
Because he dies on the 12th. And if you look at the summary of who was in the room when that autopsy was being performed, the FBI was there.
I bet they're there.
Yeah, it just hit me today. I haven't even thought that maybe the FBI was in on her autopsy.
Yep.
And I don't know I have watched so many opinions about this from medical examiners on Court TV or Law and Crime or wherever. And they're not super confident a cause of death will be found on her autopsy. She was embalmed. She had been in the ground for 2 months, and then they exhume her. Now, I watch Forensic Files, as you all know, and I mean, they can find stuff from a murder in the 60s.
Yeah. I think something's gonna say.
But, you know, and I've seen a lot of people on Facebook and on internet sites say lately, I just don't think Chad's going to get a murder charge for Tammy. But if you guys remember, months ago, Nate Eaton was on Nancy Grace. He was on her podcast, and he said he has been told that even without a cause of death on the autopsy, he has heard that there would be enough with charges from digital evidence. And if you remember, they also implicated Alex months ago. He was a person of interest in Tammy's death. So even if they don't find a cause of death on the autopsy, which I think it would be good if they could, you know, just if not for legal reasons, because they'll have enough to charge them, at least for her family, I think it would be nice for them to know.
Yeah.
But then again, if they ruled it natural and they can't find a cause of death, maybe maybe you don't want to know.
Well, we know Chad tried to play it off when Melanie Gibb recorded the phone call saying, or have you been listening to my sister-in-law? She's getting this group up saying that Tammy didn't die of natural causes. I would love to know what his kids think about him saying she wasn't healthy, because she looked healthy to me.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. He said, her heart was failing. She was getting weaker every day, but nobody that she worked with or her parents that saw her a couple of weeks before she died. If your heart's failing, it's like, it's going to be a long process for the most part.
Yeah, and she was training for a marathon or something, or a 5K or something.
It is rubbish. I mean, but you have to wonder too, though, is that a big turning point for his kids, who obviously probably saw their mom on a very regular basis? Was that news to them that her heart was failing?
Yeah.
None of the neighbors knew. I mean, it seems like nobody knew that but Chad.
Yeah.
And then they can go to Tammy's doctor. I mean, well, he said she didn't go to the doctor.
Yeah, so we'll see.
She hated doctors. It's almost like he was blaming her for her death that didn't happen, probably because she had heart failure anyway. But
okay, I want to say this. Now, elementary schools are a petri dish for sickness.
oh yeah,
I mean, I'm just saying, like, they pass everything.
yes,
And she's a librarian, so she's seeing a lot of kids. She had to go to the doctor. I'm sorry.
yeah.
I would think so. You gonna get? I'm a germaphobe. I don't know if y'all know that about me, but I'm a germaphobe, and that is like my nightmare is going in elementary school.
You can just come to my house.
So, yeah.
Let my kids put their hands all over
There
you.
you go. There you go.
Yeah, and the autopsy took 8 hours, or within 8 hours, they had her exhumed, they had her autopsy completed, and then they had her reburied within 8 hours. But the other thing on that, what's stated on the warrant to exhume her is that, again, this is connected to conspiracy to commit homicide on July 11th, 2019, which again goes back to Charles.
Wow.
So they're putting all these pieces together.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. And you got to look, this is December the 11th when her autopsy takes place. The next day, what happens?
Alex dies.
Yep. And then on the 18th of December, they interview Chad's parents. And at that interview, was it, I think it was that interview where they were told that Lori or Chad had told them that Lori was an empty nester.
Yeah. A bunch of lies.
Oh yeah. One of them was she died like a year after or before her dad died. I mean, there were so many different stories.
Yeah, I just want to say liar, liar, pants on fire.
Oh, they're more on fire. It's like
Come
an inferno.
on. Like, truth. That's what sets you free. Truth.
Yes, but not in this
and we
case.
know both of them, every way they turn, it's just lie after lie after lie.
Yeah. And I tweeted this next part out today. On December 20th, Rexburg finally goes mainstream with information about the missing kids, about Tylee and JJ. The same day, what does she do?
She accesses the school app again.
That is not a coincidence.
It just makes no sense. Why are you accessing an app that your kid is no longer going to that school?
And you know that your kid is deceased.
Yes.
You're on a mission. You want to see what's being said, because if you think about it, this app was for JJ's regular school in Arizona. So these are teachers and staff members and paraprofessionals that Lori probably knew well.
Yeah.
We are super connected. When I worked in the high school with autistic kids, I knew their parents better than I've ever known any other student's parents in my life.
Yeah, you have to make that connection.
You are in constant contact with them. I mean, there's just a different level of communication.
Yeah, I mean, special needs kids, they need special attention. And
Right.
it is up to you in the classroom to learn how each kid works, what helps them be successful, what keeps them from having behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have that form of communication with the parents and the caregivers because it helps you. So
Yeah, it's very intertwined. I mean, you have a regular ed kid that goes to the doctor. Well, the parent don't call the teachers and say, here's what was said. But with special ed, you're kind of in on everything in that kid's life during that school year.
yeah, special needs kids, they need extra help.
So-
They're precious. They're amazing.
Oh, they're the best.
Just talented, smart, funny,
Loving.
Oh yeah, and you want to be them, help them be the best they can be.
Right. And that just means you have to know a really detailed history and kind of a current history too. Because, I mean, sometimes on a weekly basis, things can change for these kids and you have to totally restructure your day with them because you want to make the day as pleasant as possible. So I'm sure Lori knew these teachers and paraprofessionals really well. I guess that's maybe why she was on that app. I mean, it just went public. It went national.
Yeah.
That was the official press release, and that's probably the first time any of us saw this on the news.
Yep.
If we didn't live in Rexburg.
Yeah.
So
So also on that same day, Colby tries to reach his mom, but the number's disconnected. and he finds out she's married to Chad, and he doesn't even know who he is.
He didn't even know his name.
Yeah.
Like, he had never heard of Chad Daybell. And then you find out not only are your siblings missing, but your mom's married to this new guy that you've never heard of.
That may explain the look in the courtroom, just saying.
Oh, man.
Woo.
Colby gave Chad a look. If it could kill, he would have he would have just fallen over right there.
Yeah, it was very quick, but it seemed like 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, I mean, he locked on him.
Yeah.
And if you notice, back before Chad was in custody, he was pretty much at every hearing.
Yeah.
And he never looked at, I think one time I saw him glance over his shoulder that way during that same hearing, but he never looked over towards the kids' families or Kay and Larry or Colby. And he was so nervous, like his face was super red and he just seemed really nervous.
Yep. Yep.
I'm surprised, props to Colby for not pounding the guy in the parking lot.
Yeah, really.
I mean, I try not to, I don't fight, but in that situation, I might have caught a charge.
Yeah. I mean, that's your siblings you're looking for and
at that point, and still today, but they were saying nothing and it was all a big misunderstanding. And to the few people they had made statements to, there was that one interview in Hawaii with Chad. There was a reporter that caught him. It wasn't Nate, but he caught him getting into his car. And the guy was like, are the kids okay? And Chad hesitates for a second. And then he says, the kids are safe. That was the word they always use. And back when you and I would differ on whether or not the kids were alive, you would say, I think safe means not what you're thinking. I think safe means safe in heaven in their mind.
Yeah.
And so, I saw that interview today.
Yeah. Yep.
Or
I remember seeing that one.
It was a
It was like
statement.
at a gas station. Yeah.
Yeah. He was just trying to get in his car and that dude just put him right on the spot.
Yeah.
We were talking about Tyson Draper, and I could not go approach anybody and be like, you want to talk about this case? I can't do that.
He does it. He just walks up and says, like Garth, hey, man, sorry what you're going through, all this stuff.
Garth he looked really happy to see him. I mean, he smiled and came over and took the card that Tyson gave him.
Yeah.
And you could see that was the first time I've seen any of his kids not like stick their tongue out at the reporter.
Yeah.
But he came over and he seemed really kind of happy to see Tyson. I don't know.
Yeah, I think some positive words for him. It helps them because, they didn't ask for any of this.
I agree. And I'm not convinced that I'm not going to go there. But as of right now, law enforcement, to me, has never given us a reason to think that they were involved in any of this. And I know there has been some questionable behavior, and there's no excuse for that. But like Garth, I don't know why. Just, I do feel sorry for these kids. They've been raised in a way that probably all of us listening can't imagine.
Yeah.
In a fringe religion. So I guess up until the arrest of Lori, and even after that, they seem to support their dad, but they've been quiet since he was arrested, and I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never contacted anybody associated with this case, family, friends, or nothing. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. It's, I don't feel like I have that right.
Yeah.
But, it was nice to see Tyson get, a little bit of words out of Garth, and, but yeah, I couldn't do it.
This whole thing has changed tons of lives.
Oh, it really has.
People who didn't ask for it and just have got thrown in, drug through, and they get their names and their families get dragged through the mud every day. Mm-hmm. People, lashing out at them for behavior or whatever. And I've never been in their shoes, so I can't say how I would react. But I feel bad for them, I feel bad for everybody. I feel bad for Charles's sons having to go through what they've, had to go through. And just stuff that's happened, 10, 15 years ago, being drugged through, and just crazy stuff that these people who, they're just living their life. They're following the law. they're, living their life and they get drugged through all this stuff. And
I mean, if law enforcement comes out with a reason, then I have no reason to doubt it. But until then, I just try not to speculate about were they involved in any way. We don't know. But I think the thing too that's very different in today's world, if you think even back to like the OJ trial, that was a really big trial. There wasn't the internet. So we got evening updates about the trial or about how the case was progressing. Now the internet has made everybody a reporter, a sleuther, and there is some, I don't want to say fun. It's a fun hobby, I guess, is what you could say, to research these cases. And we found a ton of stuff online about everybody involved.
Yeah.
Just going down rabbit holes and stuff. But if you think about it, the internet has made it to where trials certain trials, they go through the roof because there are Facebook groups, and we're a member of all of them, and we enjoy going in there and reading everybody's opinion. But it's just so different. There's no privacy. I mean, back in the older days, if you had a really huge missing kid case or whatever, you didn't get into other family members and go into their houses or that kind of thing. I think there was still, other than like the city you live in, people knowing who you are and how you're affiliated. It's just, the internet has changed everything in this world, I think. But I think trials is a really big, it's just huge. I can go online now and look at somebody's custody case.
Yeah, it's
the
crazy.
records for their custody case. I can go and see what's been filed in this case. And then you just most people have a social media presence, and then you start going through these profiles, and then you see, oh, I know that person's from the case. Click, click, click. There's just no privacy.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine being stuck in a situation like this. And then I've got millions of people like us, like me and you, Fruit Loop, who are sitting down, analyzing, having, conversations about it, discussion groups with 800 replies. I guess if I would just turn off the internet if I were involved.
Yeah, I would be like, okay, I'm moving to an island by myself and don't want nothing to do with nobody.
Right, but it's just another layer of stress. I mean, I've seen people attack family members because they don't like a post about this or that. And so I think that's kind of your big change too, is that people that have any way to connect to the internet can totally just send a message to a family member or a friend, and then it, after a while, I'm sure it just has to add a whole other layer of stress for these families and what they're going through.
Yeah, everything's just easy access. You can send anybody a message, email, and you can find, all kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I was just thinking that about the internet today and how there is a lot of good out there, and a lot of people have become friends and close, and because of this case, but there's been some nasty too. And we just don't get involved. I don't.
Yeah, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that person to anybody. That's just not my personality.
No, I don't want to be the reason anybody feels pain.
Yeah, but some people, whoo.
Yeah, some people thrive on it, but yeah, I just think the way trials have changed is just amazing.
Yeah,
the publicity in them. So we are on the 21st.
So yeah, Lori was named a person of interest. Shocker. And then on the 22nd, that was Kay and Larry plead for information about JJ and Tylee. I look back on that and I'm like, it seems like it's been like 20 years ago.
Does it not? I was thinking the same thing. I mean, we were saying not too long ago how we were literally waiting on Lori to be arrested. And then it was months and months. And, I kind of was like, well, why aren't they arresting Chad? And then it happens. And now we're into preliminary hearings, and now we've got an arraignment on Friday for Chad, and it's been slow, but it's been fast.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it seems like 10 years, but then it seems like 2 months.
Yep.
But it's going to be a lot longer.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah, there's so much to come. The last thing for today was on the 23rd of December. That's when Brandon gives the interview. I think it was in Arizona, where he says that he spent the last 10 or 11 years around Lori and Charles. And he also confirms that his wife is in a cult with them, with Lori and Chad. And, he says that I've seen this clip used a lot of Brandon where he says there are a lot of people who know where they are, but they're not talking. So that's sort of where we're going to end here. The next podcast we'll pick up in January and go from there. So the arraignment on Friday.
Yeah, that's Chad's.
Yep, Chad's arraignment's on Friday. It's not going to be long. It's going to be super quick. So essentially, he's just going to go in there and have the charges read against him, and then he'll plead guilty, not guilty, or whatever. It'll be not guilty.
Yeah, I think it's going to take less time for this arraignment than going through McDonald's drive-through.
I don't know which McDonald's you go through, but that's
it gets
not my
pretty long. It gets pretty long.
Yeah. So after that, they the next thing will be maybe a status conference where they sort of they kind of check in with the judge and let them know where they're at in the case. Then you have kind of a pretrial conference that'll come much later. That'll be kind of where are you at? Are you ready to go? And then eventually the trial. They should set the date for the trial. I think they maybe do it at the arraignment. I'm not sure. But I don't expect that date to hold if more charges come down. It's going to be delayed. COVID is going to put a wrench in all this. I know Lori's trial is for January. But with COVID and additional charges coming up, there's no telling when we'll actually see a trial, but we should have a date.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then the next week we'll have Lori's arraignment. And I don't know if she can waive that or not, but
I don't think she can.
Yeah.
I think she's got a show for that.
But it's super quick, and she'll have her mask on because she doesn't want people to see her face. And
yeah.
But we'll live tweet that like we've been doing. It's just going to be, here's your charges. What do you plead? And okay, here's what dates we have for trial.
Yeah. So one last thing really quick, because we've taken up a lot of your time. We're at 58 minutes. 59 now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was thinking, how far back can the FBI go to look when Chad and Lori's pings are together?
Ooh.
I think and we're going to start digging down this hole and see what we can find. And I'm sure some of you will make some comments because y'all are awesome. I'm going to tell you, we may not respond to every comment you make on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or whatever. We try to, but we read them all. We've gotten so many.
It's crazy. There's sometimes we'll wake up and between all the platforms, there's 200 or 300 comments.
Yeah, I had 293 on something the other morning when I woke up.
But I love it. I love to read other people's opinions and their theories and that sort of thing. And
yeah,
we love that's the first thing I do in the morning usually is I get up and open my eyes, grab my phone and see how many comments we have and then kind of start answering them. And but yeah, so our YouTube channel is Pretty Lies and Alibis. If you go and hit subscribe, it'll let you know whenever we upload a new podcast. We try to do a few a week. 2 or 3 a week is kind of what we've been averaging, I think. Yeah. And we're going to kind of expand the YouTube to include some instructional. I need some instruction right now.
You need some coffee.
Oh gosh, guys. Fruit Loop, how many cups of coffee do I drink in a day?
I would say 52.
Yeah, close. 52.
In an hour. No, I'm just kidding.
I am a coffee drinker.
And I'm straight water.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I haven't had a soft drink since 1997.
I haven't had one in 8 years.
Yeah.
I just, and I accidentally took, I grabbed my son's cup not too long ago and I just didn't look because it was right beside mine. And it was, I used to drink soda all the time and then started doing kickboxing and stuff. And they were like, get off the soda. And it made my mouth burn.
Oh, it makes me sick.
And literally one swig of that soda and I was nauseous. But I do kind of miss soda.
I don't.
But I just drink straight up water or coffee. But mainly it's coffee. I really need one of those IV drip poles.
That'd probably be better.
Put a bag, just hang some coffee, stick it in my arm. I mean, I'm literally a 10 to 12 cup a day kind of person.
So I was close. I was like 50 something a week. So that was close.
Oh no, I can go through. Let's see. My dad surprised me with the big value box from Costco today. And it's like 120 pods. And that'll be gone in like.
Okay, yeah, let's see. This is the 17th of August. So we'll see how long it lasts.
Okay, so I will I will see how long it takes me to drink 100. And I'm the only coffee drinker in the house. So
Yeah.
we'll see how long it takes for that to go away.
Yeah.
My blood type is medium roast.
Yes. You smell like coffee when you walk around.
It's probably seeping out of my pores.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's all we have. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We are at Pretty Lies Alibi. Our Twitter is hopping these days. I mean, it's just nonstop talking about the case. A lot of really good people. We have like 100% of our people on there are just awesome to chit chat with. We don't have any bullies or anything like that.
Yeah.
So come join us over there. Facebook. We're on Instagram, Pretty Lies and Alibis. We try to post some unique pictures. I think I may have a picture of Melanie Pulowski with her company in the Air Force. And we got the magnifying glass out because we weren't sure. And I just don't want to post something that I'm not 100% sure is her, but I'm pretty sure it's her.
Yeah. We're going to try to verify and make sure. Before.
Yeah, I want to verify and post it. But and then we found some pictures of Alex in high school.
Yeah.
And Lori in high school.
And Chad. And
we got a lot of Chad in high school. So we're going to roll those out kind of over the week. And but anyways, so hit subscribe on all our channels and sites and all that.
Don't forget YouTube. If that's where you're listening, subscribe and hit that little bell so you'll get alerts when we post something.
All right, guys. I hope you have a good evening.
Good night.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.